Hello, 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 Angel here. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you're new, hello. So today we are doing hashtag picture book decks. This is a hashtag at Second Thoughts About the Mission. I first saw this VR on Sharon's channel, Trio of Witches Tarot. So I'm doing a loose fairy tale theme this month within my practice, focusing on the red cap and the bad wolf. Well, I'm going to take away the bad and just say the wolf, and flipping their narrative. So yeah, I'm looking at the villains and the heroes in these stories. I'm going to say I was working on the same theme last month, so this VR seemed like a no-brainer. So with that babble done and dusted, let's jump in to the decks and the books. So I'm going to say this is going to be quite a rambly video. It's not scripted. I never script anyway, you might have guessed. Really? Angel, you never script your videos? Would never have guessed that. I'm sure you do. And this is, I've got no plans. This is just, we're just chatting. It's Sunday morning here, quite early. So yeah, let's get this done. Okay, so I'm a bit unsure where to start with this, so let's start with a bit of a slurp of some coffee. And I'm going to start by saying that I purchased this book this month to use for this theme, and also because I just thought it was a very beautiful book. So I'm going to flip through some of the pages. Oh, sorry, to give you a bit of an idea what the book is about. So we've got these stories like divided into animal stories, journeys and quests, heroes and villains. That's what really kind of drew me. Magical spirits, fairies and elves, mythical creatures, wisdom and innocence. So that it was a bit, different to the way storybooks are usually divided. So this kind of feels like it's more orientated possibly towards the older reader. I'm just going to show you this as well. Look at this. This book is gold gilded. Hello. I think it was about £30, which, I wouldn't say that's so expensive for a book, but, it possibly is. It's got some beautiful, let's show you some of these illustrations, if I can find one. It's got some beautiful illustrations in here, and it's even got these really light, smaller illustrations throughout the whole of the book. This kind of thing, for instance. Let's see if I can find anything else. We've got some very beautiful illustrations here as well. And here we go. I mean, this is just beautiful. Quite a bit of the artwork is by Arthur Rackham, and I'm going to show you Arthur Rackham's tarot in just a wee second. I mean, look at all this. It's just beautiful. So yeah, so I've been dipping in and out of this one as well, mainly reading the villains and heroes chapter, because obviously that's what resonates for me just right at the minute. But I just thought it was a really, really beautiful book. And I don't have any storybooks from when I was a child. So I thought, yes, I'm going to indulge my inner child and purchase this one. So this is the Macmillan Fairy Tales collection, including stories by Hans Christian Andersen, the Brothers Grimm, and there is artwork by, I feel it was written here somewhere, well, possibly it's in the introduction. The artwork, some of the artwork is by Arthur Rackham. So let's get going with the first tarot. Let's move this book out of the way, and let's bring in the Rackham Tarot. Here we go. So here's the Rackham Tarot that I purchased to work with Melusina. Melusina is a freshwater deity. Oh, why have we got a white card in there? Wait for it, wait for it. It was the title card, that's all right. Okay, so I edged mine in black, and these images give me, obviously, they totally remind me of that book, which isn't so surprising considering that Arthur Rackham's work is included in that book. Now, when I first started working with Melusina, I've mentioned this before, I worked with the Verhexa Tarot, but that deck felt a bit too sharp, so I decided to purchase this one, and this works a lot better for me. It kind of taps me into the energy a lot better. Now, there are a lot going on in these cards, and I find sometimes it's a good deck to sit with and not to rush with. wait, that didn't sound right, but I think you know what I mean, because there is so much detail in the cards. It kind of just makes me want to, you know, really absorb and appreciate, yeah, what's going on in the artwork, basically. So this is the Rackham Tarot. As well as the Rackham Tarot, I also have the Fairy Oracle, which is also artwork by Arthur Rackham. Let's take a quick look at that one as well. That's here. Now, I actually purchased these ones to go together. However, once I started looking through these ones, there are a lot of artwork that appears in both decks, which maybe I should have researched that a little bit better. So it felt like a bit too much with these two decks together. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Excuse me. Just FYI, I'm on the floor, hence the reason my kitty cat made a guest appearance there, and possibly one more in any second. So yeah, this one doesn't tend to get used very much. The Rackham Tarot is a definite favourite. It's always on my tarot card because it taps me into the energy of Melusina. This one, not so much. It just sits waiting for its turn to find its niche in my collection. So yeah, those were Arthur Rackham's decks. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next book, I think. Okay, so the next book is a book that I've purchased very recently. This is Fierce Fairy Tales and Other Stories to Stir Your Soul by Nikita Gill. I can't remember how I stumbled upon this book. It doesn't matter, but the artwork in this book is amazing. I'm just going to read you a bit of a passage from here. This is kind of like fairy tales for adults, I would say. They're kind of rewritten and looking at things from a different perspective. I'm definitely going to say that. There's like very short stories and there's poetry in this book as well. Let's give you a bit of an insight into here. Cry Wolf. They wrote the story wrong. The boy was crying wolf, it's true, but he didn't need a saviour. He was warning them about what the wolf in him was about to do. Let's just show you some artwork. So yeah, it's kind of quite thought-provoking, I feel, in some instances. I've only kind of dipped into the Red Riding Hood story at the minute in this book. I've obviously, you know, had a flick through and read some of the other bits and pieces, but I haven't looked so deeply into this book as yet, merely because I'm focusing on the Red Cap and the wolf story. Here we go. Here's a bit of a Hansel and Gretel vibe as well, but the artwork is really beautiful, and this is kind of the story that I've been really looking into. I mean, look at this, it's just really beautiful. So this kind of gives me a bit of a darker vibe on the fairy tales, and I'm going to show you some decks that kind of give me a bit of a darker vibe as well, fairy tale wise. Now, I couldn't have done this this VR without showing the dark with tarot, because this totally gives me like a, you know, going into the woods fairy tale theme. This is I mean, if you've seen my channel, you know, at all, you'll know that this is pretty much the deck that's always in rotation. This is my shadow work deck, my Jaded Self. Yeah, my Ride or Die deck, and this totally gives me a fairy tale vibe. It really does, actually. You know, you've got all these characters in this dark wood that you're going to meet along the way, along on your travels, which totally taps me into the Fierce Fairy Tales book. I mean, look at this. It's just amazing. I'm not going to spend too long on this because you know this one. You've seen this one because I love it so much. Another dark fairy tale deck, or gives me that kind of vibe, is this one. This is a deck that I also use for my Melusina practice. These are the backs, I think, are beautiful. You will be no stranger to this deck either if you've seen my channel. Beautiful gold gilding. And I usually actually pair this with the Rackham Tarot, surprise, surprise. But this gives me a kind of, you know, medieval fairy tale vibe. You know, we've got dragons, which totally fits the aesthetic. But they just, you know, this does really feel like a storytale or storybook kind of deck, you know, because the images kind of lead me to think about the story. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Excuse me. sorry to be in your way. The deck kind of leads me to really think of the story behind the images and what's going on. You know, where are these people off to? Where have they been? What are they doing? You know, why are they on the moon? It feels like they're on the moon because obviously, you know, I don't know. And they're obviously, you know, been some fancy dress kind of party, or they're court jesters. You know, I don't know. This just opens up the possibility for my imagination, this deck, and I love it for that reason. It also pairs really, really well with the Rackham Tarot. I love this. It is in French. I've mentioned this before. The guidebook is in French, but I personally don't read from the guidebook at all. I just, you know, I just find it really intuitive. Love this. Love this checkered floor. That was a really strange comment, but the checkered floor keeps appearing in different decks recently, so I thought it's a bit of a sign. It's a bit of a sign. So yeah, that was this deck. Okay, I've got one more deck that kind of keeps us in the dark wood, dark fairy tale kind of theme, and then we're moving along. Now, this one doesn't give me so much of a dark theme or dark fairy tale theme, but I know I've seen on TarotTube that there are quite a few people that do feel this is quite spooky or quite eerie. This is the Guardian Tarot. This is a mass market deck. I've had this for quite a long time. These are the backs. Now, I did think that this had kind of was going to find its niche in my practice when I started with the Wild Unknown Tarot and connecting with tree energy. And I kind of felt that this one would be a possibility for that practice. Unfortunately, it didn't kind of cement its place for me. So, yeah, unfortunately, this one hasn't found its place in my collection yet. But I'm not, you know, I'm not looking to rehome it in any way, shape, or form. I'm quite happy for it to wait to give me its messages. Now, I kind of feel this deck is really misunderstood. You know, going back to what I mentioned about hearing other tarot tubers mentioning that this is a bit of a spooky, eerie deck for them because of these tree spirits without the eyes. But I just feel that this is like, like a misunderstood deck. I don't find these tree spirits eerie or scary at all. Not that I find so much scary, actually, to be honest. You know, says the person that always watches horror films when they're crafting. I mean, that gives you a bit of an insight. I can deal with horror films much better than I can deal with love and romance films. That just makes me, that makes me shudder. Anywho, yeah, so I find that this, I personally get the vibe that this deck is misunderstood and a bit melancholy. And it hasn't been called, it hadn't called to me, but then I got it out for this video, and now suddenly I feel like it is calling to me. Isn't that strange? Maybe it's not strange, but it's interesting. So I'm wondering now if I need to do a bit of a deck interview with this deck before I put it away, or if I need to put it away again. Look at this, I love this. Yeah, no, definite deck interview before I put this one back. Just to make sure that it hasn't got any messages for me, or to see if it has any messages for me. Look at this. Gorgeous. Okay, that was that one. Let's move along. Okay, so I'm going to leave this deck right here, Guardian Tarot. It feels like it's got a message for me. It does, it really does. Okay, before we leave the whole fairy tale theme, I'm going to speak about a Compendium of Witches Oracle. Love this deck. I would say it's one of my favourite Oracle decks. This is by Natasha, I'm not going to butcher this name, but it's the same creator that created the Witch's Garden Tarot, I want to say. What's going on here? These are the backs. This is a Los Scarabeo deck. I've edged mine in this mustard colour, and this is a deck that came out this month. It was unplanned, but it came out anyway. I'm using it actually with the Witch Sisters Tarot. I know, surprise, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. I love this deck, and I think I love it so much because of the artwork and because it gives me this storytell vibe. It totally feels like I've opened one of my books from when I was a child, and the illustrations have been used to create this deck. I mean, they're just beautiful. Now, I did purchase the larger guidebook for this that goes with this deck from the creator themselves, from their homepage. That's an amazing book, also with really beautiful illustrations. I'm going to say you don't need the indie guidebook to go with the deck. There's perfect. There's really good information in the guidebook. in my humble opinion. And otherwise, I do find these cards quite intuitive, but that's because obviously I've been working with Tarot and Oracle for a little while. Maybe as a new starter, or as a new person to Tarot or Oracle, the guidebook might be needed. Anyway, with that being said, this is the same creator that did, I said that, didn't I? The Witch Sisters Tarot. I'm sure I just said that. Goodness me, my brain is not in gear this morning. So yeah, I do really enjoy this deck. And as mentioned, I'm having a bit of a journey with it right at this moment. Now, I kind of told a bit of a fib earlier. I kind of mentioned that I didn't have any books from when I was a child, and that's a bit of a porky pie, is it not? Because I do actually have this book. This is the Haunted House pop-up book, which I had from when I was a very young child. Here we go. So, I mean, this is just amazing. Now, I do really like these pop-up books. I think they are fantastic. I have shown this book before, and I'm really impressed that all the bits and pieces are still working. So this kind of taps me into my inner child. I'm not sure I have, I do have one deck actually that reminds me of this book, which I should actually maybe bring forward, because it does give me a kind of picture book, pop-up book vibe. Let's grab that book now. I mean, look at this. It's just fan-diddly-tastic. Wait for it, wait for it. The Halloween Tarot, of course. This totally gives me a picture book vibe, or pop-up picture book vibe, mainly because of the little cat. I've shown this very recently in one of my videos, so I'm not going to ponder, oh, what a great word, too long on this deck. But this deck totally taps me into that Haunted House pop-up book. It just makes me smile, it makes me giggle. I wouldn't say the art style is particularly fairy book or fairy tale book or picture book, but I don't know. I think it's, I don't know what it is. I suppose when I think of picture book, I always think of, you know, whimsical, gentle, fairy-like. But of course, it doesn't have to be that at all. And this deck is the proof in the pudding, really. Oh, pudding, that'd be nice. I fancy a bit of pudding right now. So yeah, there we go. That was the Halloween, or is the Halloween Tarot, and I love it. So other picture book decks and picture books generally has got to be like Winnie the Pooh, and you know, the Christopher Robin books, When We Were Six, and that kind of book. I had this one of these books when I was a very young child. My older sister has now taken over that book because she swears that book is hers, which I don't believe, but that's another argument, another story for another time. Anyway, so I managed to find this. I found this in a charity shop, and this picture I recognised straight away. I was like, oh, I know that picture. Now this is a book of all different children's stories. It's in a different language, unfortunately, but these illustrations totally took me back to when I was a child, and I can't remember the actual poem, but I remember reading it as a child. And it's James Morrison, and he's following his mum down to town, and he's saying to her, you shouldn't go down to the end of the town if you don't go down with me. And when I saw these illustrations, and obviously the poem is in a different language, but I was like, oh, I totally remember that from my days as a child, so that's why I purchased this one. I also purchased Winnie the Pooh. I found this in a second-hand shop. And these illustrations are going to lead me into the decks I'm going to show you in just a wee second. Obviously, you know, some kiddie has written in this, because obviously it's an old book. I think it's from 1979, just FYI. And I just think these are beautiful. Now, I don't have the Pooh Tarot, which came out recently. It was obviously a Kickstarter, because Tigger wasn't in the book. In the deck. And I have heard that the people that create that deck are going to release a Pooh Tarot with Tigger in it. So I think I might back that when that one comes out, but you know, don't quote me on that. But this is just beautiful. I really like it. And you know, this also reminds me of the woods, but in a gentler way. So let's look at the decks that give me kind of this kind of this kind of vibe. Let's take a nosy. Now that would be the Oak, Ash and Thorn Indie Tarot deck and the Woodland Wardens Oracle deck. This is a mass market. This is a mass market deck, and I'm going to say that I don't tend to be a animal deck kind of person. However, I did purchase this one a long time ago. I fell in love with this one when I saw Krista from Krista Chronicles speak about it so much, which kind of, you know, enticed me to purchase the deck. And I've mentioned recently that this one has been sitting on my tarot shelf for the longest time, because I haven't felt called to it, although I found the artwork so beautiful. And then I think last month I finally got that call that it wanted to work with me, or I needed to work with it because I needed to hear the messages. And it was so beautiful. It was such a gentle companion that was, you know, holding my hand through the journey we took together. And I used both of those decks within those readings and that practice that I was working with last month. And these two are just, I just really enjoy them. The Oak, Ash and Thorn doesn't have a guidebook. It has like these, which I'm sure you've seen if you've got the deck or you've, you know, watched any walkthroughs previously, but they've kind of got these cards which are really good. They give you kind of some guide words or guidelines, or keywords is the word I'm looking for, which is great. But I didn't feel I needed them either. You know, the deck is very Rider-Waite-Smith, I feel. And I don't know. I suppose they just took me on a. They just opened up my imagination. I think it kind of tapped me into that innocent child, which kind of unlocked my imagination. I'm not really sure how to say it in a different way. Anywho, love these decks together. They are total. You know, if someone said to me, you know, you've got 10 seconds to pick a storybook deck or a picture book deck, and I had to grab a deck, it would be one of these two or both, because this is what I totally think of when I think of storybook. They're so beautiful. And beautiful it's not a strong enough word. Stunning. I don't know what the word is, I don't know what the word is. I don't have the vocabulary for it, but they are more than beautiful. They are more than stunning. They are magical and enchanting. And when I look at these decks and look at these images, they kind of take me into that. Yeah, it kind of feels like I'm being drawn into a fairy tale. It's beautiful. So there we have it. Oak, Ash and Thorn and the Woodland Wardens Oracle. So let's speak some more about some pop-up book decks, or pop-up books generally. This is one of two pop-up books that I purchased as an adult to tap into my inner child. This is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. It's a pop-up adaptation of Lewis Carroll's original tale. Here is the author's name. Yeah, let's show you this beauty. I mean, this is just amazing. I'm going to see if I can show you like this. Am I going to be able to get the whole book in? I don't think so. But I mean, these are just amazing. I mean, look at this. And obviously it's got the whole story in as well. Let's show another page here. I mean, this is just on another level. It's just so fantastic, and it totally speaks to my inner child. Now I'm going to show you this. There's this like, what's the word? This tabbed section here as well that can also be opened up. And there are some other, I don't know if you can see this, some other moving parts. And it's the same with this as well. I mean, it's just so magical, this book. So magical. I love it. So yeah, it's all a bit quirky, isn't it? It's a bit weird and wonderful and very quirky. And the deck that reminds me, or gives me that kind of vibe, or kind of reminds me of that deck, of that book, is this one. This is the Tarot de Carlotides. These are the backs. I want to edge mine I've had this the longest time, and I got a bee in my bonnet a couple of days ago that I want to edge it in like this pinky colour. Anyway, that's irrelevant. Yeah, and it's just so weird, isn't it? If you've got this deck, you'll know. If you know, you know. It's all a bit weird and wonderful. And there's lots of there's lots of different images going on. I mean, this totally gives me a Princess and the Pea vibe, but it also gives me an Alice in Wonderland vibe. They've got the little rabbit, and this feels like Alice. I don't know. It's all very bizarre. This also gives me a bit of a Tea Party, White Rabbit, Alice in Wonderland vibe. So I don't know. It just taps me into that vibe, I suppose. And I was going through my decks a couple of days ago. So I was having a bit of a tidy up, and I shuffled this one and pulled some cards. And I think I've mentioned previously that this has been a deck that hasn't wanted to work with me. It's kind of been a bit like no, and I kind of feel that the tides are changing. The tide is turning, and I feel we're getting ready to work together. Hence the reason that I'm going to be edging it, and in the hope of bonding with it, and sweetening the pill, and hoping that this is going to want to start talking to me, because I love it. I really love it. And it does kind of give me a storybook vibe. I mean, it feels like there's a lot of story behind the images that have been chosen for this deck. I mean, a lot of the images are very Rider-Waite-Smith, and there's other images that aren't so much. I say that, and then I don't come across anything. So yeah, I really want to get behind the veil and see what's going on with this deck and with the images and with the messages. So fingers crossed this one's going to start working with me and being kind and talking to me. Okay, I've got 2 more decks, and I've got another book as well, actually. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, so we're on to the last picture book, pop-up book that I'm going to show you today, and that's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And I purchased this one at the same time as I purchased the Alice in Wonderland. This is by the same, I hope you can see this, is by the same creator. Here we go. Let me see if I can show you this. Did you see this? Where it kind of, it's the tornado. I mean, come along. This is just amazing. Let me see if I can do this. These are not the easiest books to show on camera, I've got to say. This is kind of, it follows the same concept, that you've got the pop-up. Let's do that. Let's hope you can see this. And then you have the text, which is written within these little books, which you can see here. This is the poppy field. I mean, it's just amazing. Emerald City. Isn't it gorgeous? I mean, come on. Let's show you one last one. Here we go. This is the witch's lair, or the witch's castle. And this one, obviously it's the same here. This opens up. Let me see if I'm in camera frame here. It's got like a little mouse that's popping up from the cup. You've got the witch and you've got Alice. I mean, this is just amazing. I would be hesitant to give this to a child, personally. Even as an adult, I feel that, I've got to be extremely, extremely careful. Can you see this? Oh, it's just amazing. Okay. You've twisted my arm. One last one. Eek! This one is amazing. Can you see this? Oh, it's just fantastic. So yeah, I've got to be extremely careful with this one, I feel, but I do really love this book. Anyway, so which deck reminds me of this book, this picture book? That's a great question. And I'm going to say it's obviously this one. This one. Tarot at the End of the Rainbow. Now, if you've watched my channel for any number of time or any amount of time, you'll know that this is one of my favourite decks. These are the backs. I've edged mine in like rainbow colours. Let's pop this on here. I just love it. I wouldn't say it's the same art style as the book, But, you know, Tarot at the End of the Rainbow, it was a no-brainer, surely. This was the first kind of story fantasy deck that I ever got. And before this deck, I wouldn't say I was particularly intrigued by that theme within tarot. And then I saw this deck. I can't even remember where I saw it, to be honest. But it was obviously the rainbows that kind of attracted me. You know me and rainbows. Yeah, I was like, shall I? I don't know. You know, it wasn't particularly expensive. I think it was under £20. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I kind of sat on it for a little while and I had it in my basket, my Amazon cart. And I was like, I don't know. But I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to do it. And I got it home. And it just, from the get-go, it was such a clear reader. And so it's a definite favourite. I would say it's one of my top 10 decks, actually. Yeah, in my collection. I love it. I love it. And this kind of sparked my interest to purchase some more fantasy decks into my collection. We know where that leads. But this is always going to be my favourite. My first fantasy deck love. Can I say that? Too late. I've already said it. So yeah, there we go. I don't know how many decks that turned out to be. Quite a few, but I'm not really sure how many. But that was it. That was my VR to two picture book decks. I feel like I'm babbling now, so I'm going to thank you so much for spending some time with me. I'm going to wish a lovely morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do, and I'd love to know what was your favourite picture book or book generally as a child. Let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, have a lovely day, and I really hope to see you in the next video. Toodaloo!